It's me, Geordie Pete Redding on Soccer Saturday. It's a pivotal weekend in the battle for Premier League title. Business end, isn't it now? 1 point separates Man City and Liverpool. Is Pep even, and Klopp the new Classico? Try saying that early in the morning. Everton go into what could be the most crucial weekend in their history, knowing that if results don't go their way, Kev, they're going to be in the bottom three this weekend. Nightmare. Newcastle got back to winning ways last night against Wolves, made up for gifting Spurs 5 goals last weekend. Speaking of gifting, I'm giving away 20 billion Panda Tokens in this show alone just for watching. We're decent like that. Welcome to Hollywood Balls. Yes, it's me, Geordie Pete Redding, and him, Super Kevin Campbell, on your Soccer Saturday. Listen, welcome to our Facebook crowd. Welcome to our YouTube crowd. Welcome to our Hollywood Balls live crowd, because you've already signed up. And if you haven't signed up, that's why you're on Facebook and YouTube today. You've got a chance. Kev, tell them what they've got to do.
Listen, you better get signed up and get across, or else I'm coming into your front room for you through your computer. Get signed up, people. Come on.
Good stuff. Okay, listen, my guest today has worked with Fox, ESPN, Sky, is famed for his broadcast work at far too many radio stations to mention. He's a fully qualified international referee, something I missed, Kev, on the credentials list. Dave Roberts, will speak about that in a moment. First, Kev, what a weekend of football lined up. Some massive games to cover, but a massive win for my team last night.
Oh, Pete, let me tell you something. That was huge, because it seemed as though Newcastle were getting in that mode of having the flip-flops on. Yeah. They really needed that win last night. But you know what? That happened last night. Now we got some real serious big games this weekend, and none bigger than the early one, Everton Man United.
Got to touch on that. Don't you worry about that. I'm coming back for you. Dave, welcome to Hollywood Balls Soccer Saturday. So much to unpack from your amazing career. But let's get straight down to business. You're a Boro boy through and through.
Yep.
And it's a title battle in the Championship. So I wanted to look at that first. A must win today at home, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'll almost go as far as saying if we don't beat Hull City at the Riverside, then let's just forget about the playoffs. It might do us a favour, actually. It might do us a favour, because are we ready for them? Well, we'll take them if they come. If promotion came along, we'd take it if it comes. But you've got to bear in mind, this is not Chris Wilder's side. He's worked miracles since Neil Warnock walked away, but he's hardly had any time to build a side. So he's done fantastically well with what we've got. Half of me says, of course, we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be in the finale. We want to go for promotion. The other half of me is just saying, let's take one more summer out, let him do his building, and then let's really kick on and become a Fulham or a Bournemouth for next season.
Dave, hold on. You've got a game in hand, Dave. But I've got to say, you cannot tell me you don't want to get in them playoffs. and a possible trip to Wembley, Dave. Come on,
Kev. Is this the player referee sort of banter going on already? No, you're dead right. You know, we've been there before. We've been involved in the playoffs before. We had the heartbreak at Wembley against Norwich. We were put out by Villa more recently in the semi-finals of the playoffs. It's a great occasion. I'd love to be in the Premier League next season. You're dead right. But we are the absolute masters of grabbing defeat from the jaws of success. It's part of the DNA of being a Boro fan. It is. Boro in particular. And well done last night for your boys, Pete. But it's a Boro trait. You know, sadly, we drag our kids up to be Boro fans, but we instill in them from day one, when they're only knee-high to a grasshopper, you will go through thin and thin, and that's what being a Boro fan's about.
Oh, jeez.
Kev, that's interesting what Dave says, though, about it's something we just had off air. We just said the same about Everton. We were talking about Frank Lampard and how, it's not his side, and Dave's saying similar of Chris Wilder. So I can see where he's coming from. I've got to ask you though, Dave. How did you get into football broadcasting? Because yet again, I found out I'm getting some awful feedback off someone's phone or.
Is it my side, boys? I don't know who it is. I'm not getting it here, but
that's better.
That's better. It's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funnily enough, I was going to say you're an electrician, and that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. You see, I've told you with the masters with the masters of causing feedback and mayhem, even though I'm an electrician. Being a Boro fan. No. How did I get in? Wow, it's a long story. I was an engineer. Started as an electrician, was an engineer, but was a mad football fan. Always wanted to be in the media. And one day I woke up, fell out with my boss at work, and I just thought, this is it. So massive crossroads in life, decided I was going to go and head down the media route. So it's nothing more than you get involved with your local radio station. I became the local commentator for the Boro. Great time for me. It was when I stepped into the commentary box following the Boro week in, week out. It was your Barnby, Fjortoft, Mikkel Beck era. Then you progress into Giannino, Ravanelli. Then you go from Robson to McLaren, and then suddenly it's Zenden, Hasselbank, Viduka. What a time! And then you progress into Sky Sports. So we launched Sky Sports News in '98. I was the Northeast reporter. Didn't lose my allegiance to Boro, but I softened my stance in terms of Sunderland and Newcastle. So when I was on the ground, on the beat up here, I would be dealing with Peter Reid, Bobby Robson, Ruud Hullett, Brian Robson, Steve McLaren. It was a great era for Northeast football. 3 sides in the Premier League. You know, one day I'm talking to Kevin Phillips about winning the Golden Boot. The next it's Bobby Robson in the Champions League. It was a great time.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, Kev, let's look at the early game with your head in your hands, but we've got to cover it. It's a massive must win, and it's also a must win for Man United, by the way, today. So it's going to be an interesting fixture, isn't it? The early kickoff.
Pete, listen, let me tell you something. It was painful, obviously, watching the game the other night, but I'm still positive that Everton could get out of it. I know there doesn't seem to be a lot of positives going around, but you know what? If you chuck the towel in now, you'll never get there. So I think Everton really respond against the big sides. Let me tell you something. Goodison is going to be absolutely hot today. And the early one, the boys will be in the boozer and they'll be ready. And that's just the 12th man, Pete, let me tell you. So, listen, I think it's going to be a tough game. Man, you have to win as well, as you said. So I think it's going to be a game of goals and chances because Everton can't defend and Man United can't defend. So, you know, attacks probably will win the day. But I hope and pray Everton just shade it by the odd goal.
Dave, decent game for the neutral, isn't it?
It is. It's a bit of a mouthwater, isn't it? To be able to sit back with the big fat cigar and smoke it while you're watching the game and not really give too much of a hoot about the outcome. But I'd love to share your confidence, Kev. I really can't see Everton beating Man U. At best, it'll be a draw. But I think United are going to take it. I think United are going to edge it. They've got the better squad. They've got the higher caliber of players. But you're dead right. Neither side can defend for toffee. But I don't see Everton going down, even if they lose today. I don't see Everton going down. They're too good a side. And how many times do you hear they're too good to go down, etc. But I genuinely think there's worse teams around them. But today it's a United game.
Yeah, our viewers are in the house. They seem to think that Paul says it's a win for Man United, but Everton will give a big fight. That's for sure. The crowd will demand it, as Kevin says. James Graham, James is in the house. He says Man City won. We're talking about Everton, not talking about Liverpool. He says, you heard it here first. City 1, Liverpool 3. We'll get on to that. It's a massive weekend of football. Can't wait to get into that. You mentioned a few iconic names there, Dave. I've got to sort of put you on the spot. I mean, you forget the ones you've just reeled off. Do you have a favourite, or can you give us a couple of sort of players that you think, you know what, they really left a lasting impression on me as a Boro fan?
There is only one name, and I'm going to try and do. I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants on the show here, mate. I'm just going to try and find something that
It's what
happened
we
to me
love.
during the week. Do you? Oh well, that's good because I'm the master of doing the unpredictable. I'm telling you. I don't know whether this will come across on camera, but this was last week. Did you see it?
There he is.
Can you get it? There he is, the little fella, magnificent.
Juninho.
How he didn't win Player of the Year that season in the Premier League when that little fella from Chelsea beat him to it, I don't know. But no, he's the absolute icon, and I'm delighted to say we're bringing him back to the Riverside next season for a charity game. You know, we're pulling back the Brian Robson team from 98, 97, 98. So that is your Ravanellis, your Juninhos, etc. And then they're going to play the Steve McLaren team, which is your Zendens, your Hasselbanks, all those guys, Mendieta. And it is an era that was magnificent. For me, as a Boro fan, to sit back and think, hang on a minute, Eindhoven, we were in the UEFA Cup final. What on earth are Middlesbrough doing in the UEFA Cup final? But that was the sort of run we had, that sort of era, and we lifted that first piece of silverware in 128 years when we beat Bolton in the Coca-Cola Cup final as it was then. So yeah, but without a shadow of a doubt, Juninho, Kev. I mean, come on. You know, you've cast a great eye over some great players. That little fella was something special out of Brazil. You could try and kick him, he'd jump over you, or he would actually turn around and kick you even harder. He was hard as nails.
Well, listen, you had to catch him first. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He was that gifted, and it seems as though he just floated over the turf. You know, he was a real quality. But you mentioned how did he not win it? I mean, that little guy at Chelsea was special as well. So
yeah, I'll give him that.
And you know, here's the crazy thing, Dave. For Middlesbrough to build those sides, it went against the grain. Because how do you get a Brazilian to Middlesbrough? And don't forget the Emersons of this world as well, and you know, real good players who went to Middlesbrough. So it was a great recruitment, great ownership, great recruitment, and the managers wanted the best players. Brian Robson, I've played under him, had a good philosophy on the game, and it was incredible what happened at Middlesbrough for those years. And I'm sure you would take anything to get those days back.
The game's gone beyond us. You know, Steve Gibson, what a custodian he's been of the Middlesbrough Reigns, but, you know, he's a millionaire, not a billionaire. And today the game is a billionaire's game. So I don't think we'll ever see that come back to Middlesbrough unless there's some shake out there. Quite fancy he's coming up to old Smoggy Land and doing a number on the club. But it was magnificent. The one that really got me, it wasn't Juninho's signing, because this was this young guy, young player of the year for Brazil that year. Obviously scored the goal from the free kick at Wembley against England. You know, so he was just entering his career. The signing was Ravanelli. He just won the Champions League the year before. You know, it was weeks after he just secured Europe's biggest prize, and he signs for Middlesbrough. Come on. That was the one that really shocked.
Yeah.
Ravanelli, great story for you, Dave, that he had an absolutely horrendous phone bill in the first 4 months of him moving to Middlesbrough. And he was told that he had to pay it. And he said, I'm not paying it. He said, you play it. And he said, no. He said, it's your phone bill. It's not included in your contract. He said, listen, every time I score a goal and pull that over, it's BT across the front. He says, it's free advertising. You pay my phone bill. Absolute legend.
And funnily enough, Charles was the guy, the representative from BT Cellnet, as it was then, who was based at the club. And he was the guy who actually had the conversation with Ravanelli. And do you know what? That bill was absorbed very quickly. Ravanelli didn't.
I'm sure.
There's a shocker. Okay, right, Kev, I wanted to speak about the big one, the title decider, and a few stats, but it is such a massive game. And my dad made a good point this morning. He said, I hope it's not a draw. He said, you know, everyone's building it up and bigging it up, but it is a massive, massive game for Man City. It's 1 point difference, as I said. What's your first take on it this weekend? The pressure, the onus is on Liverpool, really, do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think the onus is on Liverpool, but if you're Manchester City and you've seen Liverpool come up with momentum and pull it back to 1 point, you've got to say to yourself, listen, it's at our patch. We beat them, we open a gap again. And, you know, we are in the running now. with a few games to go, you can't see Manchester City dropping 4 points in those things. But you've got to beat Liverpool. That's the thing. Liverpool have got such momentum behind them, Pete. So I think Liverpool are the team who have to think we have to win this game, because if they draw it, Man City could probably go on a run and win all the rest and get to the end. I think Liverpool have got some big and tricky games as well. But I fancy Man City to win the title. I said it at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And it's up to Liverpool to really prove me wrong and go there and win. If Liverpool win, they'll win the title, that's for sure.
Dave, I've got to say that people sort of saying about Foden has a little sort of Indian sign over Liverpool. Also, interestingly, Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their past games at the Etihad. That's 11 games. What's your thoughts going into Sunday, Super Sunday?
I think this will be the breaking of the mold. I think you'll see, and I am going out on a limb on this one. Everything says it's going to be a draw. They're gonna cancel each other out. It's the two best teams in Europe. It's the two best managers in Europe, and it is the title decider for me. And I think Liverpool are going to produce something special. Don't know why. Just got a feeling in the water. Kev, I totally agree with what you're saying. Liverpool have not had the best of runs at the Etihad. I just get the feeling this is their chance, and I think they're going to look at it and they're going to savour it, and they're just going to put that extra bit of performance in that's going to be needed. Don't get me wrong; it could go either way. It is a huge, huge ask to go to the Etihad. I mean, who'd have thought we'd have got one?
Lost Dave's sound there. Lost your sound, Dave. It's not me. Nope.
He's your in. Go out and ask him to go out and come back in, Pete, I think.
Can you hear us, Dave? If you can go out and come back in, because we can't hear you. Okay, Kev, let's pick up on that. Because I wanted to say, looking at how tight we're speaking about how tight it is, the manager's head-to-head, Kev, is 8 victories each and 6 draws. That's how tight it is.
Pete, look, these managers know each other. They know the way each other plays. I don't know if you remember the game at Anfield earlier on in the season when Mo Salah was on fire. But City really should have won the game. But Salah just kept pegging them back. Liverpool just kept coming back. So I think Manchester City know how to beat Liverpool. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, Mo Salah ain't as hot as he was, although Liverpool have got the momentum. So I think it's going to be a real difficult challenge for Liverpool in this one. Can they win? Of course they can, but I think it's going to be a tough one, Pete.
Okay, we'll test Dave's sound. Dave, can this fixture be the new Classico? I don't think Dave can hear us.
Is that, guys?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Finally, we have the problem solved.
Okay. I was going to say, Dave, I wanted to ask you, given that you just said it for us, actually, that you're looking at the two best teams in Europe, if not the world currently. Could this take over from being the new El Clasico as the big fixture for people to watch around the world?
Every reason. The Old Clasico is no more, really. Now you don't have the Ronaldos, the Messis. I think Spanish football has dropped. It's down a level. And you look at Liverpool, you look at Man City, you look at Chelsea these days, you look at their performance recently in the Champions League. Absolutely every reason why this sort of battle in the Premier League will become the new El Clasico. Let's not get it wrong. I lived abroad for 11 years, a couple of times in Singapore, 4 years in the US working for ESPN. The English Premier League is held at a much higher level in terms of competition than any other league, and that does include La Liga, and that did include when El Clasico was a great game. So now you've got two teams battling as closely as they are at the top. Absolutely, 100%. The whole world's going to be watching it.
I can't wait for it. Phil Foden.
Hey, Pete, no chance is this going to be as big as El Clasico. Let's get it
Oh, go on,
Come
Kev.
on,
Come
Dave.
on.
Come on,
I knew.
Dave.
See, that's why I put this one in, because I knew what was
Come
coming.
on,
I
Dave.
knew. I
Look,
knew what was coming.
is it a huge game? 100%. But let
Yeah.
me tell you something. El Clasico, that's going to be coming back because now Xavi's got Barcelona. You got Ancelotti running away with the league at Real Madrid. That El Clasico's back. Go on,
And it's
Pete.
established, Kev. Liverpool Man City is a relatively new powerhouse fixture, isn't it?
Yeah, look for now. For the last few years, they've been battling 100%. But before you know it, Pep will be gone and Klopp will be gone. So
I can feel the wrath of John Burridge. He's somewhere near Budgie. If you're watching, it's a question that I wanted to ask. So, no doubt he'll
Tell you, I'd
I'll
like
be
to see
feeling
that.
the
he'll
wrath
have
of him.
too much. He'll have too much to say, Pete. He will.
Kev, it's got huge tradition. It's got a huge following, but I'd love to see worldwide TV watching and then compare between El Clasico as of this year against this game that's coming up.
Well, I can tell you this much: you might be surprised. Tell you, you might be
Okay,
surprised.
Dave, listen. You mentioned there that the radio history and around and working around the world, but this really jumped out for me. This is such a great stat. Radio history in the making. You were commentating on Brian Lara's record innings. Did you get paid overtime first of all?
No, I
You
lost
were
my
on
voice
for,
about
were you on
3
for 3
times, I
days?
think, in that one. It was a full 5-day. No, it was a 4 game, wasn't it? 4-day game, county championship. The bizarre thing was, you used to have the Sunday league sandwiched right in between. So they'd play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They'd take Sunday off for the Sunday league, and then they'd finish the county championship game on the Monday. And at the end of the Saturday's play, and this was at Edgbaston, I got hold of him and did an interview with him. He was at about 130, I think he was, not out at the close of play. And I just said to him, I said, Brian, how big do you think this one could be? And he went, I've just got a feeling it might be a big one. And there it was on Monday, 501 not out, record-breaking innings. It was fantastic to be there.
Imagine. I'm just thinking of having to commentate on it, though. First and foremost, did you just sort of sit back as a fan and in wonderment with everybody else?
I mean, there were 20 records broken in that innings. And I had a producer. I was working back for your homeland for, it was BBC North looking after, the television across the Northeast, and BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Radio Cleveland, as it was called, down on Teesside. So I had a producer sitting in my ears saying, oh, he's approaching this record. He's approaching this record. He's approaching this record. And it just kept going and going and going. And then the producer would say, Radio 4's stopped its broadcast. They want you to just take some commentary from you. And then it would be, Radio 2's joined you. Radio World Service has brought you. And Brilliant. Then it was the ultimate, which was Radio 1 has stopped playing music. And this is when we were getting to the 490s. And they're going to take commentary from you. I must be the only man on record who stopped the entire national BBC across the UK from doing what it did. Other than Radio 3, they kept playing classical music.
Brilliant, absolutely. It's just such a great story, both from a sporting angle, but also from a broadcasting angle. Absolutely.
What was unusual about it, Pete, was there was an England-New Zealand Test game going on at Trent Bridge at the same time. So none of the established cricket broadcasters, media guys, journalists were at Edgbaston. There was literally, the game was heading to a draw, absolutely destined. There was not going to be a result on the Monday because of the high. I mean, Durham scored 510 in that game, and obviously obliterated by Warwickshire. But there was going to be no result. So there was about 60 people and a dog in at the ground. So, all the focus was away at Trent Bridge, yet the story was at Warwickshire in front of half a dozen people. It was fantastic.
Amazing stuff. Listen, there's a lot of people tuned in today through our new platform, of course, which is Hollywood Balls Live. Also, we're still going out on the YouTube and Facebook for you, but we're doing that only for another couple of episodes because we need you all to get under the same roof, of course. We want you on to be able to enjoy what's coming. Obviously, you're going to be able to join the show in the coming weeks. That's right. You'll be able to join and ask Kevin, our guest, rather than having to message in. You'll be able to join the show. But also, we're going to be having big giveaways. And of course, we're giving away 20 billion Panda token today. And if you're not registered to what's below you on the screen there, you won't be winning. So if you're on Facebook and you're on YouTube and you're watching this, welcome along. But please register.
Get signed up.
Or I'm sending Kev round.
Oh, I'm coming round.
That's brilliant. Kev, I wanted to stick with you. We mentioned Everton. I wanted to look at Man United. It seems like another big name who is mentioned and destined for the Premier League. Another name that the Premier League's not too aware of in Ten Hag, the Old Trafford hot seat. Can I ask you, is this a bold move for Man United, who haven't really been happy with the manager since Fergie?
Yes, it's very bold. But one thing I will tell you is this could either go really well, or it could be an absolute disaster. Because fair enough, Ten Hag, he's grown up in the Ajax way, knows the Ajax system, and he's built a young side, brilliant side. He's done really well as manager, but he's never managed the juggernaut that is Manchester United, the way the Premier League is. I know football's football, but it's a totally different league than the way it's played elsewhere. There's going to be some issues. He wants total control, and sometimes you're not going to get that all the time at Old Trafford. And obviously, he wants the final say. If players don't fit his system, Pete, he wants to be able to get them out. They're paying these boys a lot of money at Manchester United, so there might have to be some leeway or some give in that if he's to take the job. Good
point, Dave. What's your take on him? I mean, he comes with a huge pedigree, but as Kev says, it's a different animal in the Premier League, isn't it?
It is. Somebody I talk to on a weekly basis is Steve McLaren, who obviously didn't enjoy his time at England, but had a great run in Holland and with the Boro. And he knows Ten Hag very well because Ten Hag used to work for him as his number 2 in Holland. And he reckons he is 100% the right guy to come into Old Trafford at the moment. He builds teams. He builds the structure around the team so that it allows the team to perform. And he reckons that's where United have been falling short recently. It's been fragmented within. It doesn't matter whether it was Ollie or what's been going on in the last handful of months. He just doesn't think the structure is there for success, even though it's such a huge club. So he is absolutely nailed on certain that Ten Hag is the best signing. And I can only bow to Steve and his knowledge because he knows the guy. Sure. He knows the club inside out from his time as number 2 to Sir Alex. That's my take on it. I haven't seen enough of the guy to give a personal opinion, but if Steve reckons he's a really good candidate, I'll go with that.
And stories this week, but a chance of Steve joining him there, right?
There are, and it's interesting. I'm not due to talk to Steve until Monday, so I'll get more out of him then. So maybe I'll feed that back to you for next
week. We'll get you back on next week.
But Dave, hold on a minute. No wonder he thinks Ten Hag's the right guy, eh?
Yeah, I'll say good things about you if you give me a job.
With his CV. He's got his CV. Brilliant.
No, actually, this was just as Ollie was coming to the end is when he was talking up Ten Hag. He thought that was the time Ten Hag would have come in. But it's obviously come a few months later.
Kev, our next subject is a man in the form of his life, by the way. 37 goals this season is his highest return. A hat-trick in the Champions League at Stamford Bridge this week. 34-year-old Karim Benzema is in the form of his life. He's just loving it, isn't he?
Pete, I thought is this the baller of the week thing now? So I could just say it now.
Oh, is that?
I mean, Pete, look, if anybody's going to choose anybody other than Benzema, obviously that must be personal to them. But this guy's been incredible, Pete. He is just getting better and better and better at Real Madrid. The more pressure and the more onus that goes on his shoulders, he's just carrying it. And do you know what? The first goal, the header, was just, he took all the weight off it and just directed it across the keeper. What a player. And you know what? To get a hat-trick, another hat-trick, absolutely special guy. And this guy can't get in the France team.
No, we can't. Again, that's another conversation, possibly for one on Monday Rewind, Kev, when you and I are back to pull the bones out of what's happened at the weekend. But it's tough to get in that France team. Interesting conversation about Alan Saint-Maximin this week with a lot of sort of French coaches and managers saying he's nowhere near, because you've got to be that good to be in the French team. So if your man's not getting there, then there's going to be a large queue forming. Dave, is Chelsea, was that a sort of a, it's a Champions League game, it's away, it's a hat trick. You've got to say it's absolutely outstanding. But are Chelsea in a little bit of disarray at the moment anyway, or was it an easier place to go at that time?
You could argue that, but you've still got to put them away, haven't you? You've still got to win the game. I'm sure Kev knows from a player's perspective. You don't go into any game just expecting to roll somebody over. You've got to do your job. And wow, did they do the job? And how old is Benzema now? He seems about 53. He's been around forever.
34. Is he 34?
Yeah. And he's still banging them in. And it was a great performance. But you asked about Chelsea. Yes, they are in disarray. Look at the backdrop that they're trying to perform in. And you've got to take your hats off to them, because they are still putting decent performances in, despite ownership of the club problems, letting Abramovich go. And obviously there was a love affair going on between club and owner at the time. So, I don't like Chelsea. They beat us 3 times at Wembley. But I will take my hat off.
Good enough reason, isn't it?
Give them credit. Yeah, absolutely.
I like a man who wears a heart on his sleeve, Kev. You can't beat it.
I'm not bitter.
Brilliant. Dave, I just wanted to take you back, though, when you said, you were the face of the Northeast for Sky Sports News. So, as you say, a different story every day. But I can just imagine, though, covering all 3 at that time with those 3 people that you said, never a dull moment. But is there one moment that sort of stands out for you? It's just thinking, you're standing outside the stadium waiting for a report. Go on, give us it.
Absolutely. Bobby Robson, Champions League night, talking to me while the cameras were setting up for a TV afterwards about Duncan Ferguson. So I'm standing with Bobby, and we're in the small TV interview area in St James's Park. I can't remember what the game was, but it was a Champions League match. And Bobby's silent, and he's looking at the ground, and he starts shaking his head, and he looks up at a strange angle at me. He goes, "I just can't understand that lad." "Sorry, Bobby." He went, "I just can't understand him." I said, "Who?" He went, "Duncan." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, he told me today he doesn't like playing football." And he's still hearing me, guys, because I've just lost you. Oh.
Yeah.
Look, I think we've got communication problems here, so I'm getting closer here to the laptop. So
I can still hear you.
So I said, what do you mean, Bobby? And he said, "Doesn't like playing football. He told me." I said, "This is a Champions League night, Duncan. Get out there. Just cause trouble in the penalty area. You've got 52,000 fans who love you out there. What do you mean you don't like it?" He said, "I'd rather be racing pigeons." And Bobby went, "You'd rather be racing pigeons?" And at that point, he just dropped his head and walked away from me and disappeared. He didn't even do the TV interview. He just couldn't understand Duncan Ferguson. That will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Brilliant. Bobby just loved football, didn't he? Loved the game, so Bob, and you can absolutely imagine that. Brilliant stuff. Listen, everyone is flying in. Great to have you all from all over, Facebook, YouTube, and of course HollywoodBalls.live. Please do sign up for the coming weeks so that you can be in it to win it. We're giving away 20 billion Panda tokens, as we said. Okay, Kev, you sort of preempted it, but it is time for Baller of the Week. Is he your Baller of the Week?
Pete, if I went for anybody else, I'd be remiss of what he done. I think Karim Benzema takes it for me. Listen, don't forget Chelsea knocked Real Madrid out last season, and rightly so. They went on to win the tournament. But Benzema, he came back with a vengeance this time, and it makes it favourites for Real Madrid, doesn't it? That hat-trick, to score a hat-trick away at Stamford Bridge in the first game, is immense. So he's my Baller of the Week, Pete.
Dave, have you got a hero on or off the pitch from the last 7 days for us? Who makes it?
I mean, if you're doing this in the pure sense of Baller of the Week, I don't think you can look further than Benzema. I've got to be honest. However, I'm actually going to give it to the entire Brentford team for the 4-1 victory over Chelsea. I think that was a fantastic performance. So can we have ballers of the week?
You can.
And it's got to go to Brentford.
Hey, I tell you what, the Chelsea fans are going to come for us. Me with Benzema and you for Brentford.
I know, and I'm just looking at messages coming in as well. Ski said, "Oh, Dave, don't worry, I don't like Chelsea either." So I'm hoping I'm not going to say anything more on the Chelsea front, otherwise we'll be caused of being biased. Great stuff. Listen, it's that time of the week, Dave. You're going to be making your debut. Good luck with this because it's something that is taken so seriously. It's the Hollywood Balls DK Hot Sauce Premier League Predictions Challenge. Now, let me fill you in on the background. On the background is Super Kevin Campbell. Super Kevin Campbell does not like to be beaten. However, there's an ongoing rivalry with the lead singer of the Dub Pistols, our very own Barry Ashworth, and he was on last week going head-to-head with Kev, and of course, all of our Hollywood ballers who watch the show. I'm happy to report that I'm going to say it for you, Kev. Normal order was restored. Super Kevin Campbell equaled the record with a massive 7-point haul. There we go.
Wow.
Hey, and what I've got to say is, you see this sign here, DK Hot Sauce. I received my hot sauce, Dave, and then I tied the record. That's what I like to see. Barry Ashworth, boy, sling your up. You know the champion is. I'm the champ.
And what a job we had getting that hot sauce over to the UK, but we did. We got it there in the end. Okay, this week in the house, we've got Samantha, we've got Ewan, and we've got Lee Cosgrove as well. And of course, it's guests first as always, Dave. So give us a score for Everton Man United.
I touched on it earlier. I just think Man United are going to be too strong, even though they're not at their best as we've seen them in the last decade. But I'm going for a United 2-0 win.
Okay. Super Kev.
Pete, normally, you know me, I go with my heart all the time.
I know.
Especially when it comes to Everton. I'm going to go with my heart again, Pete. I don't care. I'm going with my heart. Listen, I'm the champion. I don't care. If I don't win this week, I don't mind. So do you know what? I'm going to go 2-1 Everton.
Okay.
Oh, brave man.
Yeah.
A rousing Goodison 12th man winner. Like they did against Newcastle, to be fair. I mean, that crowd was unbelievable that night at Goodison Park. So, okay, I've gone 2-0 to Man United. So has Samantha. Ewan's taken 5-0 to Man United. What the gender is there? Obviously not a fan of Everton. Lee Cosgrove, Man United fan, of course, has gone 3-1 to Man United. Okay, next up is Watford Leeds. Dave.
Leeds are struggling. They're one of the teams I'm fearful might drop, might just avoid. But I'm going to go for a point here. I'm going to give them a point. It's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Okay, Super Kev.
Do you know what, Pete? This is a must-win game for Watford. Must win.
Yeah.
Leeds have been getting out of jail a bit too easy, but do you know what? They've got a little bit of momentum. I'm going to agree with Dave. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay. Roy was on this morning on our TVs saying it was literally basically saying what you gentlemen were saying. It's must win. Therefore, I've gone for Leeds. I fancy Leeds today. Leeds 2-1. Samantha's taken a 1-1 draw. Ewan's taken 2-1 to Leeds. And Lee Cosgrove's gone 2-1 to Watford in a must win. Okay, next up, Dave, it's Arsenal against Brighton.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest one for me out of the lineups this week. I can't see Arsenal slipping up. Kev will be pleased to hear. 2-0. 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 the Arsenal. Super Kev.
I've got the same, Pete. I've got 2-0 Arsenal.
Okay, make that 3. I've got that as well. Samantha's taken 2-1. 2-1 to Arsenal for Samantha. Ewan's gone 2-0 to the Arsenal, and Lee's taken 3-1 to the Arsenal as well. Okay, massive game down at the bottom, or is it too late? Norwich Burnley.
I thought about this morning. I even chatted to my son, who's a big football fan, loves the Premier League, and He's going for a draw, but I just think Burnley are the masters of pulling something out the bag at the wrong end of the season. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Burnley win.
Yeah, okay. And it's that time. It's Burnley time as well. Super Kev?
It is.
I'm going 2-1 Norwich.
Okay.
I honestly think, look, but when's the last time Burnley strung 2 wins together? Not having it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think Norwich still believe that, do you know what, we can peg these lot back and get some points here. So Dean Smith's a good manager who they're going to be playing hard. So I'm going for a 2-1 Norwich.
Okay, I've gone 2-0 to Burnley. I think they're on the crest of a wave, and I know Sean Dyche and Stoney will have them massively up for that one today, given, and I don't care what any manager says, they will have their eyes firmly on the early game. Okay, Samantha's gone 1-0 to Norwich. Ewan's taken 2-0 to Burnley, and Lee Cosgrove's gone for Norwich City as well, 2-1.
Sorry.
Last up, game of the weekend, Dave. Everything on the line. Man City, Liverpool.
Cracker, isn't it? Can't wait.
Yep.
Really can't. Got a cheesy grin on the face just thinking about this one. But I'll go with what I said earlier. I've just got a feeling Liverpool are going to pull something special out of the bag. I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool win.
Okay, Super Kev.
I've got the reverse. I've got 2-1 City in this one.
Oh, okay. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Stick in the mud. Samantha's gone 1-0 to Liverpool. Ewan's taken 2-1 to Man City. And Lee Cosgrove of Manchester United has taken 4-1 to Liverpool over Man City. It's a toss-up for Lee because he doesn't like either of them. He doesn't like
Which one
either
do you want
of
to
them.
win? Neither of them.
Yeah. Pick the bones out of that. Brilliant stuff. As always, can't wait for the weekend of football. Safe and smug in the knowledge that my lot got their 3 points last night. It took a penalty, but we'll take whatever. 10 points. 10 points clear. And so looking good. They needed that though, after Big Sam's criticism as well. So all good there. Listen, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Hopefully it'll be the first of many visits to Hollywood Balls. You can join us again. What have you got planned for the rest of the weekend?
Obviously keeping an eye on the Riverside today.
Sure.
I'm getting ready for holiday, fellas. I'm off on holiday next week for the first time in 3 years. So that involves going back to Singapore where I was based for 8 years. But I'm going to take in some local football over there because I used to referee out there. So that's what I've got ahead.
Nice part of the world as well. Lovely part of the world.
Super Kev, you're in Wales currently. Are you heading back home?
No, I've got another day here, and then I am back up north tomorrow. So it's more of a family
ready
day
for the
today.
game.
More of a family day today. So it's going to be an exciting day, but we're going to be watching the football and checking up on everything you could imagine.
And WhatsApping each other, pulling our hair out.
No, I'll be WhatsApping you and you'll be WhatsApping me, no doubt.
Brilliant
and
stuff.
don't forget,
Dave, thanks again.
Fans, sign up, sign in.
Sign in, or you got to be in it to win it. It's an age-old phrase, but it's a right one. Listen, that's it from us, from me, Geordie, Pete, me and Super Kev. We'll see you on Monday Rewind. Look forward to that. Dave, once again, thanks very much. Have a great weekend, and whoever you support, hope your team wins.